A continuación, entonces, Tania Yuki, directora de Cross Media y Productos de Video de comScore, hablará sobre la industria del video online. Recibimos a Tania con este aplauso, por favor.
Buenas tardes. Un placer estar in Argentina. Now I move to English. My name's Tania Yuki. I do video and cross media with comScore, and it is actually my first time in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. Beautiful city. I think I've had more good food in the last one day than I have in perhaps a year, so thank you for having me. Terrific. Well, this is actually a very special day for comScore and for me, because it's very rare that you get to announce a launch and speak about something very new in an important marketplace. But I'm very pleased today to be able to announce the arrival of our online video ratings product for the Latin American market. We're going to talk about some of the insights from that product today. But we hope that this is an important next step for publishers, for advertisers, for agencies to find the language and the dialogue with which to talk about the value of video audiences, and to be able to create a currency with which video advertising can be successfully bought and sold. So very, very exciting day for us. Now, the agenda for today, we're just going to cover 3 topics. The first is the state of online video in Latin America. We're going to talk about just some trends that we've observed within the measurement products that we have, and to hopefully convince you all, as I'm sure you're already convinced, that online video is not around the corner from a viewing perspective. It really is very real and very here. Second of all, we're going to do a deep dive into the video marketplace in Argentina. And then very finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about the overall opportunity in video and draw on some examples from case studies and work that we've conducted in the US, to really understand the interplay between TV and the web and TV and online video, and then the extent to which video advertising is kicking goals and becoming successful in the US, to perhaps take some learnings from that. So, and before we do get started, another point that I wanted to make, because this is something that we think a lot about, is that right now it is such an important time to be wanting to understand TV and the web and how they work together. You know, right now, broadcasters, media companies, agencies, advertisers are really trying to understand the extent to which there is a huge opportunity and potentially a risk in making content freely available online in an ad-supported way, particularly long-format content, but all kinds of content. So right now, we want to do what we can to equip decision makers with good information about how people are viewing video, why they're tuning in, and what it is that it's going to take to really make it successful here. So let's, I'm also aware that this is the last session before lunch, so I'm definitely going to make sure we get to our points effectively. So let's dive right in. So just very broadly, some numbers across Latin America. So we have, across all of the markets that we currently measure, we're reaching 98 million people who are watching video on a monthly basis. That actually equates to an average of 86% of the 15 plus internet audience. So the broad majority of people who are using the internet are actually also accessing video at least once a month. It roughly equates to 30% of time spent online overall, 10 billion total videos, 806 million total hours, 102 videos per person, and an average viewing time of around about 8 hours per viewer. So what all these big numbers are really telling us anyway, as we look at the marketplace and as we really look to evolve the marketplace, is that in terms of the audience that we want to reach and in terms of the actual viewer, video is very much a mainstream activity. It's something that people are doing naturally and regularly on the web. So the big question then becomes, being that this viewing is already in existence in our market, how then do we make sure we use video to communicate effectively, whether it's through storytelling in long format content or really understanding the advertising opportunity online. So just to kind of break down the penetration of the internet audience by country, you can look at roughly, it's 85% or over of 15 plus audience who are online right now are also viewing video. You can see it's slightly higher, Mexico 87%, Argentina 88%, as well as Chile. And that's all just right around or even slightly above the reach of 15 plus audiences in the United States. So the audience penetration and clearly the interest around online video is very much there and is very real. What this looks like though, in terms of when you dive a little deeper and look at how much time people are spending with video and how many videos they're consuming, you can actually see that there's still a little ways to go in terms of the number of videos being consumed per person. So even though the reach is there, there's definitely a lot of room for growth in terms of how many videos people are accessing. And this could be a function of a lot of things. There's the element of broadband, there's also the element to which a broad array of content is available. What we noticed, particularly in the US market, is over the last 12 months, maybe even over the last 18 months, as much more content flooded the web, not just short form, but also long form content. Suddenly the videos per person really exponentially increased. So viewing is very much elastic. We noticed that the more video that was there, the easier it was for people to watch. The ability to procrastinate and spend time watching video just was infinite, and people would really engage. And you can see that in another way when you look at the number of hours per viewer. And a little bit later in today's presentation, as we look towards the overall opportunity in video, we'll actually take a look at where the United States was, just 1 year ago, and sort of see if there's any indicators there that can tell us what the potential of the market is. So, which brings us to the second piece where we want to do a slightly deeper dive on the Argentina video market specifically. So we run through the same stats again, reaching roughly just over 11 million people each month with video. That equates to 88% of the 15 plus audience and just over a third of the total population. You can see here that the videos per viewer is slightly lower but still very high, with the average person being reached by a video experience each month 89 times. So there's definitely some opportunities to get some advertising in there as well. And then just under 7 hours per viewer. So, broad penetration, the tonnage still has a little ways to go. But particularly now, and you can start to see some new content flood the web, and I know a lot of people are evaluating what kinds of content to make available ad-supported online. The demand is there, so the question becomes, what kind of content do we put online to support that demand? Now, the next, I think the other temptation when you evaluate video is to say, okay, video is great if you want to reach young people, but it's not so good if you want to potentially reach different audiences or different ages. But what we've actually consistently seen in most of the markets that we measure is that online video penetration is surprisingly flat by age. When you take a look here, you see it goes down slightly when you reach the 45 and over, but nevertheless it's over 80% of that audience that are currently being reached by video. So this is not something that's just about millennials. This is something that if you have a message or if you have relevant programming that you want to reach different age groups, then this is a great way to actually go across the board and make sure that that reach happens online. What you do notice, however, that while the reach is there broadly, that just in terms of sheer audience size, 15 to 24s and 25 to 34s dominate. They make up roughly 55% of total video viewers online currently in Argentina. And when you take a look at what that means in terms of tonnage, they also do watch approximately an hour more than some of the other age groups, and then 15 pluses in general. So, the younger audiences are slightly heavier viewers. You'll reach more of them in aggregate just because there's more of them watching video total. But nevertheless, the opportunity in video is definitely broad and isn't just to be relegated to the younger age categories. And again, you can see just the tonnage there, 15 to 24s, by far dominate. But that's probably something that is slightly generational. We'll talk a little later as well about a study we did that looks to the degree at which younger viewers also watch, cross-platform and online-only television. But that's just, I guess, a picture of how that breaks down. So that's all very well and good. Video is reaching lots of people, but where are they actually viewing? So here's a look at some of the top properties that are currently featured in our rankings. There's actually a very healthy mix of both international as well as local content, which sort of speaks to us that there is definitely a demand for a diverse range of content and a lot of loyalty for the local market and a lot of interest in local content as well. But you can see some of the measures, total unique viewers, which is just total audience, the number of videos. You can look at videos per viewer, which gives you a sense of how long people are staying with the site and watching the content, and then overall minutes per viewer. But as in most of our markets, YouTube definitely dominates, but then once you go beneath that, there's still a very strong interest in social video. Entertainment is the top category, followed by social video, and then we have news. So that's pretty much what we see across a lot of markets, but we were very sort of happy to note that there was such an interest in local content, because we do think that presents a very good opportunity for anyone with local content who want to use video as a reach vehicle. So we've talked a little bit now about the trends that we're seeing. We've shown that the reach of online video in the marketplace here is very real. And I guess now I just want to take a step back and consider what that opportunity means, because it's all very well to have people wanting to watch video, but it's another big leap to understand how to monetize that audience and to understand what the value of that audience is in terms of your ad dollars. So we're going to spend a little time talking now about a study which we recently conducted at the start of this year. And what we were trying to do here was to understand, we were looking at original programming, so original TV programming that was being made available on the web. And we wanted to understand in what circumstances were people tuning in online or tuning in on television or doing a combination of both. And as you can see from here, 65% of all audiences, no matter what's available online, they'll just watch it on television. So they're platform loyal, they like their TVs, they like the viewing experience. But where it gets interesting is you notice that the other 35% are either platform agnostic, so they'll watch on TV or they'll watch online, and a 6% of that audience is actually a completely new audience that couldn't be reached on television because they actually don't watch this kind of programming on TV and they choose to watch online only for this kind of programming. Now once again, when you look at that, it seems small, but if you take a look at this across different age categories, you really can notice that cross-platform viewing is very generational. It's being driven